Hello, welcome to the podcast.
Hello there, everyone.
Paul and I have come to Jamaica, where we are here for a few weeks, and we're going to record like a Jamaican album or podcast. Hopefully, going to do about 8, where we try and get. We keep with what the pod normally does.
We're going to try and do about 8.
What do you mean?
Well, how do you know we're going to do 8?
Because it's 8's in an album, isn't it? Oh, actually, it's not. It's 14 tracks.
That would be a hell of a long album. Depends if you're talking about vinyl.
8 tracks. Yeah, I'm talking about vinyl.
Yeah, well, there's only half an hour a side on. No, it's half.
Oh yeah.
20 minutes a side.
Yeah, we're not doing a 4-minute podcast.
What are we on about anyway?
Anyway, we're gonna do some pods. The idea is infused with a different culture and a different climate and a different vibe, and these are going to be the Jamaican ones. It doesn't mean we're going to talk about Jamaica exclusively, but we did think we might possibly, if it feels right, talk to a couple of Jamaican people just for the amusement of ourselves.
And hopefully you as well.
Poor people, yeah.
Because there are some real characters here. I mean, if any of you have been to Jamaica, you'll know that. The people, they've got great language, and it's a really interesting place where we are. Guy's been here for some time. It's a place called Cousins Cove, and it's really a fishing village, I guess. Yeah, we used to have a little fishing fleet, but unfortunately, we potted before about the decline in fishing in fish stocks, but there's not so many fish in the sea. And I love the way that the phrase is, there's always some more fish in the sea. There's always plenty more fish in the sea.
Wrong,
whoops. There's always one more fish in the sea. Guy was joking last night because the spearfishers were out in the night last night under the red moon, and you can see their head torches under the water, quite ghostly, eerie, bluish tinted.
It is, it's very eerie. If you don't know what they are.
Yeah, it does look like aliens are coming. Yeah. But the guy said, yes, they're all out there looking for the last fish in Cousins Cove.
Chasing it around, going like sport, chasing the last extremely clever fish. There's one left.
Anyway, I wanted to say something because I've never, on the flight over here, I actually won a prize and I'm quite proud of it. So I'm just going to tell you about that for a second. The air stewardesses announced over the tannoy on this jumbo jet, we were flying Virgin, that they were going to have a contest to guess the combined ages of all of the stewards and stewardesses on the plane. Maybe, I don't know if it included the aircrew. No, it was the 15.
No, it was just the 15.
It was just the 15 who were working. Yeah. And a plane, it was a full jumbo, really. And anyway, I guessed it within 4 years, the combined ages of everybody.
I thought it was a very odd competition for a number of reasons. One, they said, we got a prize, and you have to guess the combined age of the 15 cabin crew.
Oh.
But I then thought that they opened themselves up, they did, to everyone really scrutinising them about their age. And I watched people look at, and whenever one came past me to give me a coffee or to give me a whiskey or whatever they did, I think, how old are you? And I thought and I felt a little bit uncomfortable about it, and I don't know how it must have felt for them. And I also thought, I wonder if anyone took the piss with, putting in either a ludicrously large figure.
I'm sure they did.
Positing that they were all sort of 65. But anyway, Paul won it, and he won a really nice bottle of Burgundy, which we drank last night.
We drank it last night.
And actually, just before we went to, I wanted to tell you about my car got towed from outside my house, and I was very, very angry because I do have a parking permit, and 2 of my wheels were on the right bit.
This is before we set off.
Yeah, before we set off, in London. And I went down I rang up because I thought it might have been stolen, and I discovered it had been taken in a very short period of time that I was illegally parked, and I felt aggrieved, and I felt there was an injustice done. I didn't like it at all, and I lost my temper, and I was on the phone trying to track down where it was, and my son very coolly put his arm around me and said, Dad, you're not going to get the car back any faster with being angry and shouting at people, and it might possibly slow it down. And he then went off about his day, and I got in a cab, went out to the Pound, this miserable looking place out sort of in Ealing somewhere, with like mesh fencing, and he went into this horrible office with bars on the windows. There's bulletproof glass between me and the person on the other side. The chairs had been secured to the floor because so many people picked them up and threw them around.
Tried to smash their way through into the office.
They turned up so angry. In fact, there were no other people, but I walked in and I was still fuming with anger. And I just thought, what I thought, Paul, was, I've got all this energy inside me, and I'm going to see if I can do it another way. So I walked in and I said, hello, I believe you have kindly taken my car out to West London, which is so convenient as I was travelling to Oxfordshire anyway. Thank you so much. I'd like to start, if I may, by thanking you all. Anyway, they looked at me like I was and then I said, you know, and how much am I paying for this service? And they went, well, it's 55 quid for the parking ticket and 200 for the removal. I went, what a bargain. I must do this more often. I said, thank you so much. And I said, what company is this? They said, we work for Serco. And I said, I have heard so many good things about Serco. All I hear, and it's wonderful to put a face to the corporation. and it's excellent to be spending Saturday morning doing a transaction with you. Thank you so much indeed. And I didn't know if I was taking the piss because I started suddenly feeling really good about it. I had to pay the 255 quid, whether I lost my temper or didn't.
Not, yeah.
Whether I lost my temper or
if you want your car back.
I know it's 40 quid a day from then on. So a tantrum and storming off would have just cost me 40 quid. And I realised that the energy between anger and fun was much closer, or the sort of vibe was much closer, much easier to tap than I thought. and they were so freaked out. I said, is everyone like me? Is this and they went, no, people are normally quite angry. That's why we have a bulletproof. A man came in with a gun, we got bulletproof glass here. And right at the end, when I was driving my car away, I said to the guy, are people quite angry? And he went, yeah, 99% of people are extremely angry. And he said, actually, this is a really, really stressful job. And his little shoulders sloped down. He was standing by my car. It was the Saturday morning, it was very quiet. And I said, I bet it is. And he said, no, it's really is. I've got to change my job. He said, you seem like a happy person. Do you know any jobs that might be right for me?
No.
I said, I'm sure... just having people screaming at you. He said, yes, they do shout. And they're very angry.
It's a hard world for little things, isn't it?
Yeah, God.
I mean, I guess loads of people are in fucking miserable jobs out there.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah.
Just not have one. Go on the dole. A life of crime beckons, I think. If I had to do it again, I'd probably end up doing that. If I was starting now.
But I drove off, Paul, feeling kind of joy in my heart. That I'd somehow managed to have a decent human interaction with these people rather than just shouting at a figure of authority, which is what I would normally do, have a tantrum.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to definitely do it again. The next time I see myself getting into a conflict with authority, I'm going to really try and enjoy it instead of be horrible about it.
We had an unusual week, actually, the week before we arrived here. I was helping Guy in Glastonbury, and... We tried to unblock a drain which we discovered did have quite a substantial fatberg in it. A plug of greasy, fatty substance. So we went and bought this rod, a bit like what a chimney sweep uses, and it had a rubber plunger on the end, and we were fucking around with this thing. Turned out we'd put it down the wrong hole. Anyway, we did in the end give up, covered in speckled in fatberg. Even I could felt it on my lips and in my ear. Yeah, you could taste it.
Oh.
So after a valley, I thought
we had a high pressure hose, and at one point I put the hose in, and it sort of kicked back. It
spurted out everywhere.
Geyser of fatberg.
It was.
We were caught.
We went over the fence into next door's garden, and we just thought, God, we don't even know if we're in the right hole here. So, in the end, we got the experts in, and they of course did the job in very short order. But the fun didn't end there. We erected a ladder next, and it went up.
I decided that as I was there, it was a good time to clean the gutters.
2.5 stories.
Because what I know about this, if with a building, one leaky gutter, Paul, left for a year or 2 years, can do absolutely calamitous damage to a building in Britain, where if the water is running
down
into
the wall,
it can do so much damage.
Yes,
it can melt a house if you don't do it. So cleaning out the gutters. Cleaning out the gutters is something that I pay some attention to. But it was very high. It's 2 stories, and I don't have a very good head for heights, but I did.
This
have
is
the
what I
double
discovered when we put the ladder up, and he looked at me and said, "Paul, I'm not very good with heights. Would you mind going up?"
Yeah, and Paul was goddamn so courageous, and he went up this rather twangy ladder, and I did think this is quite dangerous.
I was cursing a lot.
Yeah, and it just did look quite dangerous, and then he went off the top of the ladder onto. Was it a flat? It's a flat
It's
roof.
a flat roof, but it was very slippy up there.
Flat roof. Yeah, slimy flat roof.
Slimy flat roof with nothing really to hang on
And
to.
then he cleaned out the gutter, and then we had the problem of getting him back down onto the ladder because the ladder was propped up just underneath the gutter, so he couldn't get onto it above the roof level.
It meant dangling over the gutter with the gutter on my tummy. But then I realised
Trying to find the
I
first
had nothing
rung.
to hang on to. So I realised that my weight
Tipping,
I've
sliding.
I've got very heavy legs, listeners. I rediscovered, which started pulling me off the roof, and by this time I was just howling and effing and
his
blinding.
two little legs came out
I was
waggling,
going,
waggling,
Guy,
waggling.
what are we going to do? We're going to have to call the fire brigade. But then Guy started moving the ladder. I was going, for fuck's sake, Guy, don't move the ladder.
To try and get the ladder under
Oh
your
my
feet.
God, it was fucking...
And I remember that we'd said we were going to go on podding till one of us died, and I thought maybe I've done my last pod. Because if Paul falls here, this is a real situation.
Yeah, I would definitely have...
Yeah, it was really
my legs could have gone through the ladder and it could have twacked me backwards. Anyway, it doesn't bear thinking. Anyway, we got down from there, and then our next task was to move... I've got this vehicle, and it's a bit embarrassing, really. I bought this vehicle a number of years ago. I thought perhaps I might have to live in it at some point. It's called an ultra van.
It's an American camper.
It looks a bit like a
Van.
tube train which has escaped and
Yeah.
gone rogue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very wide.
It looks fat and slow, and very unsteady.
If you want to see it, if you Google Ultravan 604, it will come up. It's the
Right.
last one made, or it's the very
It's
last.
like Dumbo the elephant with no trunk.
Looks like it's got a really kind of, I don't know, it's quite a forlorn face. Hasn't
Very
it?
forlorn, rightly so. Because it's the most impractical vehicle ever conceived.
It's got central heating.
Has it got central heating?
It's got central heating. It's got a shower. It's got a bathroom. It's got
And
a
it's
full
also
kitchen.
got wheels the size of a tea trolley. I mean, it's so impractical in Britain.
Anyway,
it's wider than most lanes.
It is wider than the lanes. And I was driving it last year, and the wheel actually physically came off the axle, and the only thing that was holding it on was the brake caliper. And this was on the M25, and I managed to get the thing off the M25 with people undertaking me as I swerved across 3 lanes, went down this spiral, and very luckily found this kind of backwater where we could park it. And the wheel was literally hanging off the axle. So it's been a long haul to get the wheel back on, because the thing about the Ultravan is nobody knows what the parts are.
The bloke wouldn't let Paul pick it up from the garage unless he signed a disclaimer. He said, this vehicle is so shite.
He didn't say it was shite. He said it needs work to the geometry.
Yeah,
of the front.
yeah. Strike
It's not
shite for the
shite.
record, because
Come on,
he's now
Guy.
about to try and sell it.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, actually, it's a very sought after thing because it is an amazing looking thing. It is. Look, just Google it and have a look. You can
Lawsuit
draw
of
your own
massacres.
conclusions. Our listeners in America, which we've discovered we have quite a few of, incidentally, which is quite a surprise to us. We'll come on to that, but we can't imagine why you're listening to us.
A quarter of you are in America.
Anyway, what I'm going to say, Guy, just a second, is that the Ultravan is actually quite well known in America because it's a bit like the VW equivalent anyway. We drove this thing in convoy back to my friend's place.
I quite like driving in convoy. I didn't really know what to do, but I put my hazard lights on.
Which was bizarre because
And
he
went
was in front of me with his hazard lights on.
Yeah, but I wanted to alert oncoming traffic that was wide, that they had to keep
Wide
across.
vehicle.
Yeah, wide vehicle, yeah, exactly.
And he kept putting his hand out the window and then driving
And I was like waving, I had like a relationship with everyone, and waving people through and thanking them.
It was
And I felt special.
from where I was sitting.
Convoy exceptional.
Your gesticulations were completely
Didn't make
random.
sense, didn't make sense. They did
And not
to
only
me.
that, but he kept slowing down.
Yeah.
And I'm in this fucking big bus behind him. I'm like, I kept just shouting, "Don't fucking slow down!" But my phone had failed to work, so I couldn't communicate with him.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a
Typical Kenaway Friar. Yeah, when we did the sewer, we got covered in shit. Fatberg, rather. Paul started singing Laurel and Hardy, and it did seem very appropriate.
So Laurel and Hardy. Anyway, we did get the Ultravan back eventually, and then I switched the engine off and thought, well, it's going to start because we've just driven it 12 miles, and of course, it was parked quite badly on a corner. And as Guy said, the T-trolley wheels didn't have much clearing on the verge.
It was on a very dangerous corner in Northamptonshire, busy road in Northamptonshire.
Yeah.
And I just thought there is about to be such a calamity.
Well, the thing is, if anyone had hit it from behind, it would have turned into a random collection of fragments of aluminium. Don't say that, but yeah, it would have looked like an air crash. There would have been bits of it all over the road, and people would come thundering around the corner and then slamming the anchors on
Anyway,
and swerving.
so Paul nipped back there because we had to open a gate. Paul nipped back there to fire it up and to drive it through the gate, and it wouldn't start.
And then I lost my temper.
Yeah, you lost your temper appropriately.
Yeah,
I thought because this the whole thing is a sodding nightmare.
I was
and
like,
that's
no, slapping the dashboard, banging my head on the thing, kicking it, and then I took a very deep breath, and I said, I must apologise for that guy for that momentary loss of reason, because I lost my mind a little bit, but I quickly recovered.
Yeah, you were angry. That's okay to be angry. I think it's as I was with the car tow away, but again you reined it in.
Well, it's like you said
very well.
It's not how you fall; it's how you get up. That's what you always say. You know. Anyway, that was our week before. It was quite a fucking funny week, I have to tell you. But so, if anyone's interested in
buying a very top quality camper
the last
van,
of the I've totally fucked this, haven't I? No one's going to be interested in it now. I've completely, what's the word? I've undermined myself.
It suits an enthusiast.
Yes, it's a project.
Yes, it's a project, but it does look pretty good. Well.
Guy, you're not the person. Just don't even try, because you can just hear in the timbre of your voice that you have no enthusiasm for it at all. But I've stayed in it actually on Ilkley Moor, and it was really nice. It's got a lot of glass, and anyway, if anyone's interested, just give us a call and we'll see what we can do. It's at Paul's. Remember, Paul's Used Car Lot.
Hey, let's put a picture of it on The Verge when it had broken down on the Facebook page.
Did I get a picture of that?
I got one.
Did you?
God, I had to take.
Typical.
I've got a lot of pictures of Paul's cars broken down.
He could barely.
He's always going on about how flash his cars are, and they always look pretty spectacular. But I love photographing them when they're broken down with the bonnet up or Paul. And I got some great ones of you in the Bristol.
Oh,
with the bonnet up.
Guy, stop it! That was
looking confused into the engine.
Guy just doesn't understand that when you're running a classic vehicle, they require love. He's got his Audi. Mind you, I've got a picture of you under the bonnet of your Audi.
When?
I'll show it to you. I've got a picture. I've thought, touche, motherfucker. Mind you, most of the cars you see broken down at the side of the road, I think are BMWs. I always make a note of that.
Does it cheer you when you go past and see a very angry-looking man standing next to a broken-down Ferrari?
No, because I feel a sense of camaraderie. I often feel like stopping and helping them, Guy. Unlike you, who just goes titter. Yeah. We were talking about it yesterday about our pod listeners.
We're not really sure because the figures, I don't think they're very accurate, or rather they're accurate. We can't quite tell who is listening and when they're listening and what, but we definitely don't know why, of course.
They could be just making it up for all we know.
But they say that 1/4 of our listeners in America, and more than that, most of them are in California. Now, do you know, I'm trying to think if I know anyone who lives in California.
No.
But we don't know anyone, but someone is listening to us, and I'm just think, I wonder what our appeal is for them.
Yeah, we would like, if anyone's listening in California or in America, we'd just be curious to know what you could possibly be getting out of this.
Can you even understand us? And also, I seem to remember, rather embarrassingly, being incredibly rude about America.
Guy, you said that they were the worst people in the world.
No, I did not say the worst people in the world. I said they were a very ruthless and effective tribe.
No, you said they were the worst people in the world.
I am the worst person in the world.
You said it. You said it on the pod.
No, I didn't. I was referring to.
Listen to this.
All right.
Guy,
anyway, I would like to withdraw all the negative remarks, or wipe the slate clean.
No, you said rednecks. You said rednecks.
Yeah, exactly. I said that they're the most powerful, effective. They're a brutal goddamn tribe. You don't mess with a redneck, American redneck.
Guy, you said, and I quote, the rednecks, they're the worst people in the world. And I said, Guy, you can't say that. And you said, yes, I can, because it's true.
Right. Well, I do stand by that. Paul, look at their record. They're a very tough tribe. You mess with them at your peril. Look who stood in their way. They don't,
They've had their asses kicked a lot of times.
Who by?
Well, the Vietnamese for a start.
Yeah, the Vietnamese.
I'm sorry about this. Look, maybe we shouldn't get into this.
You're never going to lose. That's our last American listeners was just switched off. We've got one in Russia, haven't we?
Azerbaijan, I think.
Have we? Azerbaijan?
Somewhere like that.
We've got one over there.
One in Poland.
Yeah.
I mean, it is strange. Look, because the thing about this is, we put this on the internet, and the internet, obviously, we just think of it as being in our living room. We've got no idea what because it does literally go everywhere in the world. So if you're somewhere in the world, would you please just send us a little note, because we'd just like to know where you're listening from and why you're listening. And if you send it to Sonic Landfill, SONICLANDFILL at gmail.com, it would be really nice to hear from you. And we mean that most sincerely, folks, we really do. No, seriously, I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine what the fuck you're getting out of it, really.
Yeah, I said to my Jamaican friends, you listening to it? And they said, no, man.
You can just see they're just like, they don't even want to talk about it.
No, absolutely, it's a non-subject.
It's embarrassing.
It's a non-subject. But I got Paul to listen to Irie FM, which is the local... It was started off as a reggae station, but it's a kind of alternative station out in Jamaica, and it's an absolutely brilliant radio station, as you can well imagine. I think it was originally financed by Peter Tosh, but I don't know who owns it now. And they have on it a man called Muta Baruka. Now, there may be some people
also known as the Stepping Razor.
Yeah, the Art of War.
Stepping Razor, Art of War.
Art of War. And he has the most fantastic radio style. And I base a lot of what I'm doing on this podcast on listening to Muta, because you can start talking about international sort of politics for China, and soon get round to the parking on his street, and then he'll just go wherever he wants. But because he's Muta, he can ring people up and in authority and get them on the radio straight away.
Right.
So in a conversation about parking, I go, hold on, let me just ring the head of parking in Kingston. Gets them on the line, goes, it's Muta.
Gives them a grilling.
Yeah, exactly. Why can't I park on my street? Yeah,
he was great.
He did that yesterday afternoon.
They were talking about the Buju Banton concert yesterday. That's what all that was about.
Have you heard about Buju Banton's son?
No.
Today, Buju Banton's son has come out saying, how come 17 children he's got, 10 of them are not pleased to see that he's out of prison. He's a cokehead Rasta, and I don't want to have anything to do with him. And he's not reformed, and he's worse than ever. A real amazing attack. And that son, whose name I don't know, but anyone in Jamaica will know him, is quite a big promoter in Jamaica.
Wow.
And he said, I'm not happy with my dad, and he's a
wanker.
He's basically a wanker. A very public spat.
He's a very popular wanker over here, though.
Yeah, he did say he's a great performer. He said he's a great performer, but a terrible man, and a terrible father. Must sting.
Must do.
Must sting.
Unless he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's going down the dealer. I should better be a bit careful what I say.
Jesus, guy,
it's extremely dangerous.
Wind your neck in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mind you, no, we've just established that people don't listen to this here.
Right. Okay. Absolutely.
So
we
don't
can
worry
say
about
anything about Jamaica.
Because, of course, Buju Banton is famous, probably around the world, for his song, his seminal anti-gay anthem, "Boom Bye Bye," in which he directly advocates the shooting of homosexuals. Yeah. So, I actually have got very little sympathy for the fucker, really.
Yeah.
I can understand.
Yeah, but you can say something stupid, or you can put a bit of work out that later you realise is wrong. And I don't know if he has. Has he kind of withdrawn it?
No, he hasn't.
He hasn't.
No, not at all. Far from it.
He sounds like he's
I'm sorry. He sounds like a
his
dick.
son actually mentioned it in this post that I saw, saying that he was not uncool. He wasn't homophobic.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, the son said. The son said, "Batty men are cool with me."
Oh, so the son's, he said, batty by him, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever.
Yeah, because he wanted to distance himself.
It's just the language as well.
I know.
Batty, I have no problem with batty boys.
They've got a bit of a journey to go, the Jamaicans, on this particular subject.
Yeah, they have.
But there we are. They've come from a very difficult place around it, and it's been a rocky and slow journey.
It was fucking interesting, the conversation last night.
What's that?
Well, because we had some white people there, but Katie Dieter was here, who's a friend of Guy's and mine now, from
the University of West Indies, and
West
also
Indies.
another university called Edna, which is like the art school.
And the conversation last night got on sexual politics. And
with two Jamaicans
and the two Jamaican guys.
They were like,
Orville's, he's pretty switched on, but I did look over at them from time to time, and they were just you could see they were completely fascinated, because I just don't think.
I thought they were fascinated too. They didn't say anything.
Well, they laughed occasionally when
I could tell, because we were speaking in English, and quite erudite English. Not erudite English.
Even if we do
Sorry.
so ourselves.
No, we were speaking fast in complex English, and I thought probably there'd be a little bit that they didn't pick up, but they understood and then we were going over.
Katie's half Jamaican. We should say.
No, she's not half Jamaican.
Not half Jamaican.
No. She's black and white.
Katie's half
She's
black,
from
yeah.
Indiana, yeah.
Indiana.
She's from Indiana. Yeah.
So she does gender studies in Kingston, Jamaica, which I think is quite a tough gig.
Bloody hell.
I mean, fuck. How she pulls that off, I don't know.
God.
But she says all of her courses are really oversubscribed.
Right.
Like 100 people trying to get into her class.
Yeah, but didn't they also say don't do that course? You're turning this place into a gay university.
What's this obsession with gays?
Yeah.
Well, that's what the course is about, really.
Do you think you can do the course without mentioning
Yeah,
gay?
why do we have to have gays in it? But it is kind of funny because it's the one thing that you don't really talk about here.
No, but
That's,
I don't know what
progress can be made. Leeds was like that once, not that long ago.
No, when I first came here 30 years ago, Paul, and I went on that coral reef, and it was like so abundant and full of like a huge garden under there, thousands of fish, shoals of different fish, and octopus, turtles, lobsters, everything scurrying around.
Really?
I mean, it was like a Disney movie when you put your head down there.
Fuck.
And I had no reason to think that it wasn't going to last.
You were seeing the end of it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's now aging at the same rate as me. I mean, it's been there like 1 billion years or whatever. Now it's like going...
Not quite, but a few million.
A few million, yeah, a few million. But it's now... it's aging... It's kind of going grey like me, going white.
Yeah, sad.
Well, it's...
So it'd be like the Med, because the Med's like you go into the Med and it's basically a desert, isn't it? And it's an undersea...
Yeah.
All the life's retreating into the very deep, I think, to get away from us. But even there, because it's like the thing about all these mass beachings and stuff, they've figured out that one of the worst effects underwater on the at least the cetacean population is deep water high power sonar from submarines and military vessels, and they think the noise to them is unbearable.
Right, and it confuses them.
Not just confuses them; it's painful to them,
right.
And that's why they run away and they try and get away from it. Right. And then somebody was saying that maybe that's what's happening with the insects with the telephone masts.
Yeah, who knows? I wonder if
who fucking knows, man? It's quite sobering.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to be here for a few weeks.
Yeah, that's not so sobering.
And I would like, rum. I don't drink rum in Europe, but here, it tastes so right, doesn't it?
It does, unfortunately. It's amazing here at night. That's the other thing is that with Guy's phrase, there's nothing with more promise than a Jamaican night. That's what you say, isn't it?
And I believe it too.
When you go out there, out of this place, this beautiful place, but into the village and everything, and it's like just like walking through Lucy, people just greet you and they want to, and it doesn't strike me that they want anything in particular other than some chat.
Yeah, just some chat.
They love to chat. Yeah. And there's a lot of misinformation about Jamaica as well, isn't there, Guy?
Deliberately
put out, I think, by these resorts because they don't want you venturing outside the compound. They want you to be in there and under control because that's the way that that's the way they make the money. They don't want you wandering around the place.
No, it's not true. They don't mind you wandering around, but only with their mates. On their tours, on their buses, going to their bars and their tourist attractions.
Yes.
So what they do is they say, "Oh, it's too dangerous to go out anywhere on your own. Don't do it. That's really bad." But hold on, this guy, my friend Joe, he will look after you and all that.
Yeah, he knows the ropes. Yeah,
it's ludicrously expensive, and
wow, what's happening?
Wind. Off the sea breeze, and so that they commodify the tourists in a way that is. I really hope that some people start talking out about it because it is not right. It is completely stopping the tourists coming into the villages unless they're part of some stupid tour which is overpriced and where they just go to this normally very dull bar ran by the bloke who booked the tour's mate. Yeah. And they just keep them all amongst themselves.
Yeah, and it's like a subsidiary of Sandals.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, Butch Stewart's son, who is Butcher is a great hotelier. He started Sandals. He's a great hotelier, but his son owns all of these so-called tourist attractions around the island, so that the people who are stuck in these compound hotels, when they want a day out, they go on a minibus to, as you say, to associated attractions, and they're told when they go, oh, that village looks quite nice. Why don't we stop there? They go, no, it's dangerous.
No, it's dangerous.
You can't do that.
See,
and it really does a great disservice to the to the country and to the people of Jamaica.
Well, also, guys, they're worried as well that if you go out of the compound and you find out that it's not actually that dangerous, that the year after you might not be going to their hotel.
Well, if you have any sense at all,
you might just book a little flat, a little place down there.
If you have any sense at all, and in this village they are trying to make little cottages and all that, and I really hope it works. But because I have been in one of those compounds. Actually, it's quite hard to get into the compound, Paul, but I tell you this, it's much harder to get out. Because I have tried to pick some people up from an all-inclusive family-style, very big development. It's done with Spanish money. I always figure it must be Coke money. What are these Spaniards investing millions and millions of pounds here, or speaking Spanish? I just figure it's Coke
laundering.
Yeah. That's basically signed my death
warrant. What the fuck are you doing? Are you a maniac?
I won't be able to know the truth.
Anyway, I'd just like to say at this point that Guy is a friend of mine, but his opinions are his own.
Oh no, run! Anyway,
Carlos.